part of why I was happy to be part of this process was, like we've been talking about it for a minute, man, but just the business side of flame working right now. Because, all right, so I've been doing this about 15 years, but I still respect the fact that if you're just starting out and you're listening to some of the things that, I or Jason just said, it sounds weird, God, you guys are stupid. You forget orders? All I want is orders in my life. Right. You guys are so arrogant that you would forget an order? Nah, it's not a matter, for me, it's not a matter of arrogance. It's the fact that, all right, there's an other folder in Facebook. I've been to seminars on Facebook. I know a lot about the algorithm. I just started checking this folder about a year ago. I missed money 5 years ago because they were in my other folder and they weren't friends of mine. I didn't know to look there.
Huh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, there's another folder where people who are, basically if they're not your friends on Facebook and they send you a message, if you guys don't have any friends in common, they just find you online and they want to order something from you, i.e. a regular customer, they'll send you a message, but it won't pop up in your regular messaging. It pops up in your other folder. So, Hey, if you got some free time, man, go back to your other folder, and hopefully you didn't miss too much bread.
This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, Episode 1, Part 2 of a 3-part series with Rashan Jones. In this episode, him and I get more into detail on the business side of things, including tax preparation, the benefits of having someone in your life to help you manage finances and do taxes for you and or manage your money. And also kind of some fun talks about glass, kind of some issues, which I kind of get into real quick. One thing we're talking about in this show in general is how in the industry in general, there's somewhat of a cohesive language that's out there, but there's also this variation of different terms that are used across the board. We kind of laugh about the whole double blown, triple blown shit. That's been around forever, and I know for the longest time, people would always be like, oh my God, is that triple blown or is that double blown? And I'm always like, no, it's called inside out. It's really thick tubing that I use, and I lay the color inside the tubing. I blend it all in really nice and clean, and then it makes it super thick. And it's also only blown one time, even though I may have, blown air into it 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. It's still just blown one time. And we just tend to laugh about it. But still, as we are here in 2015, 16 years later, this term is still going around. So whether you're an artist or a enthusiast or shop owner, let's try and stop the use of this term because it does not exist. It is ridiculous. And then we can get other terms out there. Bitch window has always been one of my favorites. Not a lot of people know the term bitch window, but those that do know the term bitch window and know the technique knows that it is a crap load of work that goes into inserting bitch windows into a section. And I'll post a couple pictures on the show notes page of what a bitch window actually is, and so you guys can get an idea. And for those that don't know about it, you'll get to see it. But there's, just one example of the many things out there in this industry that we don't all agree on in terms of language and terms and what have you. Even there's different people that have different ideas on the proper way to anneal glass. Scientifically, I know a lot of it's based on the thickness, millimeter-wise, of the glass. And if you have a kiln full of pieces, it's kind of hard to set a perfect annealing cycle when you have, say, 5 pieces in the kiln, and they all have a variation of thickness to them. So I just kind of run a standard program for my work. Unless I'm working on something that's an individual, unique piece, then I definitely run its own cycle. And for those that don't know what the annealing cycle is or what annealing glass is, basically the idea of annealing is if you imagine at home, if you have a glass, like a glass that you have that you drink out of, and you hit the floor with it after dropping it, and it bounces around a bunch of times and doesn't break. Well, the molecular structure or the molecules in that glass have now become active, and are now very unhappy. So what the annealing process does is you throw the glass in the kiln very gently. You run a cycle which basically brings the glass up to just above melting point to where the molecules then become at rest or at peace, and they can relax, and they become happy again. And then by slowly cooling the kiln down to a certain temperature, those molecules then stay happy, which then will bring your glass back to practically brand new. Now, if that glass was not annealed and you drop it again, more than likely it will break. And in the world of hand-blown glass, there has been many times in the past where I've made something, and weeks, if not months down the road, it'll crack. And a lot of times there's color compatibilities you have to deal with. Nowadays, with the use of opals, opals are very sensitive. They have different cooling rates. They're very, very sensitive. And unfortunately, I've had people have to return items to me that had opals in them so I can replace the opal in it because it actually cracked while it was in shipping or while they had it like weeks down the road. And myself personally, I'm sure as a lot of other artists out there, I guarantee my work 110%, whether the aesthetic value and how it looks if you're not happy with how it came out, or also any kind of flaws or manufacturing issues that may be there. So anyways, I'm rambling on here. I just want to say hi to you guys, let you know that I'm in my studio where I do record my shows, and it's a kind of a rainy day today. It's hot as shit in my studio because I have to have all my doors closed and my fans off so that there's no background noise, so that I can have the most ideal recording environment possible. And so it gets pretty warm in here, but it's worth it. And eventually down the road, I will probably be moving my recording studio into our spare bedroom / office. But for now, this works because I keep everything together, and it's fun to blow glass and edit my shows and do fun things all together in the same space. So anywho, please definitely leave me any kind of comments or feedback that you guys can. Also, if you can please go, if you're listening to the show through iTunes, if you can please go to iTunes and leave me a 5-star review and a comment in there, that would be fantastic. The more reviews and the more 5-star reviews that we get, the higher rated the show becomes in the art and business category, and then will become potentially a featured podcast, which will then even make it more visible for those that are not familiar with the podcast itself. And also, if you could share it with your friends, whether through Instagram or Facebook or what have you. And also, don't forget to join our mailing list if you have not joined it yet at wiseguyradio.com. On June, I think it's the 31st is the end of the month. Let me double check here real quick. I'm terrible with the dates. I know June's kind of a weird month, but the end of June, basically, we're going to be closing off the entries for our giant, huge giveaway that we're doing. And July 1st will be our official day that we'll be pulling a name out of the hat. So, yeah, looking at the calendar now, June 30th, which is a Tuesday, we will be closing off the drawing, and July 1st, we will be drawing a name. And the winner will be receiving, the grand prize winner at least, will be receiving a complete set of custom Wise Guys, little owls I do, everything from standard 10 mil up to a mini tube, carb cap dabbers, the whole 9 yards, you name it. It's an entire set, valued well over $1,000. And you'll be able to customize it to any kind of look you want, whether it's full color, crushed opals, blah, blah, blah. So something I just wanted to do as a gigantic thank you for everybody who has supported my work, and also the Wise Guy brand. Over the past 2-3 years now, this Wise Guy brand has been going, but just my work in general for the past 16 years. And also to celebrate the launch of this podcast.
Probably my best kid, relating to glass life story. My son was in 4th grade. It was a Rio Grande Nature Center. And, I met up with the class. And, we got our sack lunches. We're hanging out. And, this other kid was walking through. And he and my son were probably about maybe 8 or 9 feet ahead of me. And he didn't realize I could hear him. And this kid was like, hey, man, why does your dad always come on all these trips, man? What does he do all day? And my son stopped and looked at this kid and was like, it's cool. My dad doesn't even have a real job. Now, dude, part of me might be taken aback because, of course, I work hard. But the fact is, if I'm able to work as hard as I do at the level that I'm at, and my son doesn't even realize I have a quote-unquote real job, that's balance. That's
Yeah.
balance for me, man. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. 'Cause things are not perfect at all, man. Like, as a businessman, I fall down on things. I'll admit probably my hardest thing for me, for whatever reason, is shipping. I'm great at making, promoting, taking payment on everything, but I'm probably about 5 minutes from my local post office. But by the time I get there and, I'm walking in with like 8 or 9 packages each, it just something always seems to slip through the cracks. Or like I'll leave one in my car and then like, okay, I'll get to that one the next time I ship and that won't be for a week and that kind of thing. So you know what I did? I hired a guy, man, because that's a business. Like
Yep,
I had to
exactly.
make a business decision about it. And thankfully I'm in a place where, it's a percentage thing and he's willing to kind of do it. So it works out for me. But now I got a guy and what he does is literally just wrap priority packages. And in turn, I give him some studio hours. He makes some pendants for me, but I had to accept my own kind of downfall, my own shortcomings as a person, and then find a way to kind of solve those. And that's business. That's
Yeah.
the business side of things.
And honestly, bro, that is my biggest thing too. Like I mean, I send my customers messages and I apologize it's like if I don't apologize for much, but I always apologize for an order taking 2 to 3 weeks to get to them. And it's been sitting in my studio for 2 to 3 freaking weeks, and I got tired of it. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I know it's, it's just, I'm just saying my post office, literally is like, I could walk there. And so what I started doing was I do the priority packaging myself, but I have the post office just, like I know my mail lady, I put a little postcard, in my mailbox and I have my boxes on the front porch and she comes by and grabs them all. It saves so much time. But I'm at a point now where it's like, I've got so much coming in and going out. It's keeping that organized and then making sure everything's packed. Because, only once, and thank God it's only been once, but I have sent packages to the wrong people. And I've asked them very nicely, and I've actually sent them stuff as a thank you to pack it back up and send it to the correct address for me. Don't send it back. Just forward it to where it needs to go to. So I'm talking to the wife. I'm like, hey, can we get a system set up to where I can have my glass made in a bucket, I have my invoices up and everything, and then you can pack them for me. And she's like, yeah, sure. Now, she hasn't started doing it, but, we're going to start hopefully here soon.
Well, look, and the thing is, mostly, man, it's about accepting that, though, as a person, because when you're on the torch, man, well, I don't know about you. I know myself. When I'm on the torch, I don't expect perfection, but I expect me to strive for it with every step. You know what I mean? Like, I want my work to be great when I'm working it. And so I hold myself that same standard when I'm not on the torch. And it just beats me up, man. Like, it was really beating me up. And so that's why I kind of had to plot a solution. And so accepting that and plotting the solution is what's going to keep the business sustainable. And so, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm sure the guy that's helping you out, man, I'm sure he's digging the reward at the end of the day when he can go in there and melt some glass.
Oh, yeah, man. I'll be 40. I'll be 40 years old next year, man. I'm 38 right now. I'll be 40 next year. And Gil, my guy, is 21. And so to have him in the studio with me for the last 8 weeks has been just crazy, man. Like, it's just, his young mindset, like, he's so Instagram based and look at this and why aren't we making these? Check this out. And this guy. And I'm like, right, but we still got to pack these boxes though, man. And the glass still has to look nice. Like, I get it. No, you know what I'm saying? So like, he is motivating me with his young spirit. And I'm over here trying to temper him like, yeah, no, but it is a business still, so let's figure this out. I'm not saying we can't. Hey, man, let's do 75 mil back stacks. All red? You want to do all red back stacks? All right, let's do it. But let's plot it out first. What are we going to do with all this?
Yeah, that's awesome. But it's funny, man, because I had an assistant a couple years ago, and she was 21, and it was the same way. I kept telling her, it's like I'm the old dog about to be put down, and here comes this young pup along that's like revived me and brought me back to the whole being young and free and enjoying life, kind of idea again, and all this new stuff. But at the same time, it can be very distracting.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
But man, just to kind of try and tie the whole business thinking up in a ball of wax, man, I'll say that, like, I don't get paid to promote any companies. Like, the priority service does not pay me money to say good things about them. But I will say that I know people who ship a lot more than I do who don't really lose packages. You know what I mean? Like, typically the priority system has been pretty on point. Like, there's always going to be like glaring examples of where they've lost something, but between it doesn't have to be QuickBooks, but it can be any free accounting program that you can find online. Mm-hmm. A cool mailman, and if your mailman isn't cool, give him a piece of glass and make him be cool. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, a cool mailman and like Square, or I use the Go payment system from Intuit just because it ties into my QuickBooks.
Okay.
But like with those three things, man, like things are so much easier to run a business. Like,
Oh yeah.
20 years ago, you couldn't do that. Like, you literally need an accounting department, a shipping department, and accounts receivable just to do what we can do from our phones. So now that like the tools are there, it's just a matter of integrating them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I use, which I'm hoping to actually bring on as a sponsor, a company called FreshBooks, and they're an online accountant, cloud accounting, basically.
What's it called? FreshBooks?
FreshBooks, yeah, dude. It's
I'll check
free.
it out.
Yeah, check it out for sure. If you do go in there, put in it'll ask you like who'd you hear it from, because they're not my sponsor yet. You can't put me in there. Just put in you heard on the Dave Ramsey show, and if you put Dave Ramsey in there, you'll get the first month for free. But
awesome, man. Cool.
I pay $20. It gives me up to 20 active clients. And active, I mean like in your actual client list as being used, but you can delete the client and put them in the deleted file and then re-add them to your open file. But
okay, cool.
It allows you to track your expenses. It allows you to track income, the whole 9 yards. Like, it's really, really nice. And I personally have an accountant only because my wife does. And so we just, and she's, she would just, whatever. So she influenced me there. So
I'm Jason, I'm only laughing because my wife also has an accountant. It's her Uncle Bob. He's done the entire family taxes forever. And this year, now that we're married, when I came along and suggested I was doing my own, there was a rift. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, wait, why would you do that? We have an accountant. So more than likely, I'll end up switching to that in the future. But yeah, man, I've always been just done it myself. So yeah, but just personal glimpses, man. I feel you. Yeah.
But I enjoy numbers, so I'm in the same boat. Like, I enjoy crunching numbers and building business plans and that kind of fun stuff. But dude, that FreshBooks accountant thing, bro, it's really it saves so much time because, like I said, I can just go on my iPad or my iPhone. I can open up the app. I click my client. I can like most of the stuff. I have like in there it says new client. So when I immediately get orders in, because I have ADHD that I deal with, and which you and I have talked about, and so I'll get these orders in, and because of Kik and Instagram messaging and Facebook messaging and text messaging and emails and smoke signals and handwritten letters and everything else that we get, I get lost and distracted in all these fucking orders that are coming in. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I feel like it's a blessing for all these orders coming in. But I lose them sometimes. And so with the FreshBooks, I just go in there, I click, as soon as the order comes in, I click new client, I go in there, I put the order in. It saves all your shit like in an inventory list, so you can like create, POS numbers for all your stuff. And I print the paper out, I clip it up on my little system thing that I have, and I know that order is there. And I have it's like I have a lineup of what's coming up. And it has saved so much headache because, like you said, I beat myself up a lot because I'm not a perfectionist, but I can sometimes say I'm a perfectionist. And I hate when I'm on the torch trying to focus on a piece of something what I'm making, and I'm in the back of my head thinking about whose order did I forget or what am I forgetting to do. It's like organization is key.
Well,
sure.
Man, and I'm really, really part of why I was happy to be part of this process was, like we've been talking about it for a minute, man, but just the business side of flame working right now. Because, like, all right, so I've been doing this about 15 years, but I still respect the fact that if you're just starting out and you're listening to some of the things that, like, I or Jason just said, it sounds weird, like, God, you guys are stupid. You forget orders? All I want is orders in my life. Right. You guys are so arrogant that you would forget an order? Nah, it's not a matter, for me, it's not a matter of arrogance. It's the fact that, like, all right, there's an other folder in Facebook. I've been to seminars on Facebook. I know a lot about the algorithm. I just started checking this folder about a year ago. I missed money 5 years ago because they were in my other folder and they weren't friends of mine. I didn't know to look there.
Huh, I didn't even know about that.
But yeah, there's another folder where people who are like, basically, if they're not your friends on Facebook and they send you a message, like if you guys don't have any friends in common, they just find you online and they want to order something from you, like, i.e. a regular customer, they'll send you a message, but it won't pop up in your regular messaging. It pops up in your other folder. So, hey, if you got some free time, man, go back to your other folder, and hopefully you didn't miss too much bread. But yeah, that totally exists.
Interesting.
The Instagram direct messaging is a nightmare because I honestly, after like being on Instagram for a couple of years, just realized that they had it, and I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that. So just with all these things that are coming in, even more than just distracting, man, they're just overwhelming because I could get a text message that says, hey, man, give me a call or shoot me an email at this address about this order. And then I got to remember, wait, was that a text message or what was the email address too? And just putting all those things together, it sounds like programs like FreshBooks, things like that can really help that out. So,
yeah, for sure. I wish somebody would develop an app where you could have every single type of messaging system onto like one screen. that you can just keep track of all your shit on one page? Because it's like, you know,
man, I pay a subscription service for that, man. Seriously,
dude,
but only if it was just like a truncated service, so that whether you Google message me or Facebook message me or poke me on Instagram or whatever else, or tweet me, whatever, it all just comes to my phone. That's
on one app. So anybody out there listening to this that does any kind of app building, web design stuff, get busy, guys, because this shit drives me fucking crazy. Seriously. I'm
trying to make glass and sell it here, man. There's a lot of technology for that.
So one more,
yeah,
dude. So one more kind of question for you on the business side of things. Do you have any kind of retirement set up for yourself? Are you doing any kind of, personal 401k?
You know, man, all right. So I have an IRA that I am not contributed properly to. I did that because, back 15 years ago, I was a corporate guy. I was a travel agent. So I came into the game with a 401k, and I just kind of rolled that over to an IRA. And, there's a couple grand in there, like enough to kind of cover the house note for a couple months if we ever needed that kind of thing. But as of yet, no, man. And it's actually, this is one of the things that me and my wife, it's not an argument, but it was a harsh reality for her. She has a job where she has PTO or paid time off and 401k she contributes to, and like her retirement is set. Basically, if she stays working for this company for X amount of years and gives up this amount of percentage of her retirement, she gets Y value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you retire on that kind of thing is the theory. No, I do not have that set up as yet. And
what kind of IRA do you have? Is it just a standard IRA?
Standard IRA.
Okay.
I looked at doing the Roth for some of the tax deferment stuff, but my head started swimming, so I was like, you know what, I need to get this out of this 401k and get into an IRA. So now it just sits there.
Right on.
I contribute to it typically when I'm having like a really good month. I'll remember like, oh man, I should definitely put some money aside for that.
Yeah, you know what you should do, bro. Because do you do like all your banking online?
Yeah.
Because you can set up to have like $50 a month just automatically sent there.
That's a good idea, man.
And
just,
I mean, and seriously, dude, because like, and if you do that, make sure you set up your IRA as a Roth. You said you have a Roth. You have it set up as?
I have a standard, but I was looking at the Roth. I didn't understand the tax deferment.
Coming up on the next episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show, part of this podcast and part of on the website, I'm going to have a list of business lingo, like things that you need to know, like what is a CPA, blah, 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 blah. Because when I first started listening to these shows, I would hear this terminology. I'm like, I wouldn't know what the hell they were talking about. But
CPA is a certified public accountant, and an IRA is an individual retirement account.
There you go. Hell yeah.
PSA. But no. By mistake.